Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm going to look at this. This is Whistle Down the Wind from 1961. This was another of films that Tony sent to me, and well, fantastic film. Thank you so much, really, thank you, because this has brought back so many memories. This is just amazing. I remember watching this film with my mum all the time ago. It's a fantastic film. It's one of those films that the more I can see, the more you actually watch it, you realise how brilliant it is. And also, it's the kind of film that I'm thinking, please, Disney, don't you get any ideas and decide to do your own modern version of it. No, please, no. Because it's such it would suit them, actually, in terms of the story. There has been a musical of this as well, from 1989. I think it's a Lloyd Webber one as well. But yeah, so that's, we've got that out of the way. So let's get into the film anyhow. You probably would describe it as a drama, really. Some have put it down as a crime drama, but I think it's more of the drama, really. It's 99 minutes long, and on Rotten Tomatoes, they give it 100%. Yes! Wow! Yeah. The general agreement is it's a classic piece of British cinema, and perhaps it's something that really stands up in the great British films, and it also shows to me how many great British films there is that need to be well, people need to know about them more. Nowadays they don't know about them, and they should. There's absolutely some gems, there really is, and this is definitely one of them. There's a lovely phrase in this film, and it sort of sums it up, the humour in it. The phrase is, "It isn't Jesus, it's just a fella." And yes, that is perfectly sums up so much about this film. It's got it. It really has. Now, the screenplay was by Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall. Keith Waterhouse was a novelist who perhaps is most famous for Billy Lion, 1959. He was also a journalist as well, very popular. I know he was in the Daily Mirror, a bit of a campaigner, I think. But he also was other novelists, and as you say, wrote this screenplay, and I think some other screenplays as well. But yeah, it's spot on. This kind of just really hits it, really does. It's based on a novel called Whistle Down the Wind, which was written by Mary Haley Bell. Yes, and she was married to, yes, John Mills. And they had a daughter. Well, they had two daughters, actually. And one of the daughters was Hayley Mills. Hayley Mills, who happens to be in this film. So what a connection that is, that her mum wrote this novel, and she's part of that in the adaptation of the film. Fantastic. Now, it's produced by Richard Attenborough. Apparently, he wasn't quite sure about directing at the time. He was known as an actor, but he hasn't got into it. But Richard Attenborough, wow, what a man! It's funny because I've actually seen him a few times. I saw him locally when they were filming Shadowland. Also, I saw him speak at our local town hall going back this, I know he's been dead a few years, but this was all sort of that period of time. The Attenborough family, of course, was very much involved in this area in Leicestershire. And it's directed by Brian Forbes. Brian Forbes, I think the films that just caught my eye is The L-Shaped Room. That's considered quite a classic, 1962. And now this is interesting. He was the director of The Stepford Wives, 1975. The Stepford Wives has been hailed in many ways as quite an important film and being imitated a lot that it deals with in The Stepford Wives has been used in a lot of sort of sci-fi areas and these dystopian futures. The Stepford Wives, yes. Anyhow, let's get on to the cast. It's Hayley Mills as Kathy. Kathy is the important character really in this film. She is just so good. She was a child star. She's Tiger Bay is a famous film that she was involved in. Also a Disney connection. She was in Pollyanna. In later years, well, not that later, but in 1968, she was in Twisted Nerve, which was a psychological thriller, British one. It sounds really good. I've not seen that one, but from what I can see, it looks really good. And also, she was in the horror mystery, which again is really interesting. Endless Night from 1972. So there's some very interesting films she was in, and she's quite well known. Yeah, she was. Then we've got Bernard Lee. You may recognize him, who plays father, Mr. Bostock. He, of course, is just known as M. Yes, he was in James Bond films starting 1962, Dr. No, and his last one was Moonraker in 1979 before he died. There he is, his recognisable face, definitely. Then we've got Alan Bates again, yes, who I talk about. He plays Arthur Blakely, or as he's credited in the film, The Man, yes. He's the one who's on the run, is he a murderer? He could well be. It's not totally made clear, but the police are after him. Definitely, he could be a murderer, but he's definitely on the run. His films, of course, Far From the Maddening Crowd, 1967, starring Julie Christie. I certainly remember him a lot from that fantastic film. And of course, the film that really he was well known for is Women in Love, 1969. Oliver Reed and Glenda Jackson in that one. Superb film. And of course, a film that I've talked about and reviewed is The Go-Between. He was in that in 1971. Also with Julie Christie. Joseph Losey film. Fantastic. Then we've got Norman Bird, who plays Eddie. He's a recognisable face. He was in the 1961 gangster crime film Victim, remember, with Richard Burton. And then he was also in The Medusa Touch, again with Richard Burton from 1978. Also, his last film he made, he was in Shadowlands, which I've just mentioned again, in 1993. Shadowlands, yeah, directed by Richard Attenborough. Yes. And then he was in the Hammer House of Horror series in 1980, the 13th reunion. He was also in the 1984 Hammer House of Mystery and Suspense. Remember, they did this second run of stories, and he was in one of my favourites, which was The Black Carrion. Yeah, fantastic. Then we've got Diane Clare, who plays like the Sunday school teacher, and she was in a Hammer film, which happens to be one of my Hammer films that I love, which was The Plague of the Zombies from 1966. She was in a leading role in the film. Fantastic. She was also in another horror film, The Hand of Night, 1968. She was the lead in that. Fantastic. But I've got a Hammer connection. Always good to have the Hammer connection. Just a little bit more. It's set in Lancashire, and we've obviously got all the locations. Fantastic filming in that area, and local school children from around Burnley and Clitheroe were used as extras, and then specifically those that are described as the disciple children were from Chatburn Primary School, and say they all were important part of this film. The music as well. They managed to get Malcolm Arnold. I know he was very much a film composer as well, but he's also considered a modern classical composer. And yeah, Malcolm Arnold did the very recognizable music as well. I think that the all these elements that have come together really make this, and it's in this period when they're trying to get a more realism away from London, and it's all here. It's all starting here, and I think the black and white realism now really is there when you watch it. So what is the story about? Well, it's these three children that live on this farm in Lancashire, and they discover in the barn this bearded fugitive, really, but they mistake him and they think he's Jesus, because when they sort of disturb him, he goes, Jesus Christ, and the kids then just believe it's him after he's said that, and they go away, and then that's how the story develops, and we learn as it goes on. But there's all sorts of things going on with the children. There's so much humor as well in this, and it's beautifully done, and also about the adults, and you see about faith and innocence. It's like the vicar they do try and talk to doesn't seem interested in Jesus. He's more interested about the church building. And the children are so innocent, but so wonderful the way they have it. And that humour is there as well. It's fantastic the way. And that's why I can see it touched a lot of people, this film. And I see the realism, to me, it's just looking at the locations as well. And even in the sort of the shops and in the village that you see, it all brings back that sort of 60s thing. And particularly right at the beginning, when you see the kittens being rescued from drowning, I thought a lot about that, because that used to be a very common occurrence. I remember seeing it very much in my childhood. People who used to do that, they used to get cats and just drown them like that. Incredible, those memories, seeing all that. But this film is a quality film. It's enjoyable, it's entertainment. It's the sort of film that we kind of sort of see as a sort of a Sunday afternoon, just sit back and enjoy it. And it is that as well. But I think it's sort of film that you don't want to diminish by just saying it's that, because it's actually quite an important film, really, because it's depicting that time, as are the whole collection. My thesis is going to be, I always have that putting things together, is that this, again, is another example of the British film industry having its own voice and developing, which it was in this period of time, as like I've shown with Hammer films, and it's a really interesting period. And not just, I say, with Hammer films, we have all the other films going on, the crime, the drama, all linked together, building some great performances, some fantastic films. It's a great era. It really is, leading into the 70s. And these films are great. And we shouldn't forget them, should we? We shouldn't. No. Highly recommend it if you've never seen this film. And I'm sure you will laugh, and you may also have a tear in your eye as well. There's an image right at the end, which I think is very poignant, when they arrest him and he holds his hands out like this, when they're searching him. You see the crucifixion almost there. That's how she sees it. There's Kathy, the girl, she sees that and sees it as the Jesus crucifying him. It's an amazing piece of symbolism, but so poignant, and makes you think, oh, wow, it does. Now, there is no Blu-ray release in this, and here it is. It's on DVD, but the quality, it's a good transfer on this. It's a vanilla edition, but it's really nice to have. It really is. You see, there it is. Fantastic film. I would recommend this. Really would recommend it. And that's it. And thank you, Tony. Thank you so much. Really, yes. So that's it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll let you know when I produce these things. And also, if you like this video, please give it a like, and it helps with algorithms, and it all costs notes. If you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I'd love to hear what you think about these things and what I'm writing. And it all costs notes. You can't say better than that. So, all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.